So, we're going to be talking about waste, solid waste, industrial and municipal. So, solid waste represents pollution and an unnecessary waste of resources, and hazardous waste contributes to pollution as well, capital degradation, health issues, including premature death. Now, we throw away huge amounts of useful resources and many hazardous materials. In nature, naturally, there is no waste. Everything is a part used and reused. Now, when we take natural capital and refine it into human products, we often create waste that cannot be a part of this biological cycle, and so we remove resources from nature. Solid waste is, of course, simply waste that is solid, that is not liquid or gas, and it is discarded. Industrial solid waste now is waste that is created by industries, mines, agriculture. Solid waste is any waste that is not liquid or gas. Industrial solid waste is any waste that is produced by industries, mines, and agriculture, or other services that provide people with goods. Municipal solid waste is trash that is produced in homes or workplaces. Toxic waste is waste that threatens human health and the environment. 3/4 of the trash in the world is an unnecessary waste of the Earth's resources and results in both air and water pollution. America is the world's largest trash producer, and the primary source of that is soil degradation. Now, we must adopt a sustainable approach to waste. Humans will always produce garbage and waste, but there is a way to incorporate that into the biological cycle, the natural cycle that does not dispel resources from the earth altogether, but instead reuse them. One way that is proposed and is currently in action is to bury or burn solid waste. This reduces the environmental impact of solid waste. Another way, and perhaps superior way, is to simply reduce solid waste by reducing, reusing, and recycling. Reducing and reusing are preferred because there is a prevention of input rather than a solution to output. There are many strategies that industries and communities can jointly and comprehensively use to reduce resource use. First, to redesign the manufacturing process and produce goods that use fewer materials and less energy. This also can help reduce waste and pollution. We can also develop products that are easier to repair, reuse, remanufacture, compost, or recycle. We can eliminate or reduce unnecessary packaging. We can use fewer bags in our waste collection system. And we can establish a cradle-to-grave responsibility where essentially companies would be required to take on the responsibility to care for their products from production to disposal. And lastly, we can restructure our urban transportation systems to rely more on public transit, mass transit, and alternatives to combustion engine vehicles. Now, reusing items decreases the use of matter and energy resources and reduces pollution and natural capital degradation. So does recycling, but to a lesser degree. Reusing is an important way to reduce solid waste and reduce pollution and save money. Now, in recycling, there are two types of recycling.
there's primary recycling, where materials are recycled into new products of the same type, and secondary recycling, in which materials are recycled into new products. One way to recycle is to imitate the natural, biodegradable biological cycle. Composting mimics this natural, cyclical usage of resources and recycles nutrients. Now, there are many challenges that hinder reusing and recycling. Firstly, the market price of most products, of all products, do not include the social cost, the environmental cost, the health cost, the cost to society that goes beyond monetary value. This can be rectified by placing a corrective tax on the supply side of those markets. However, now as we can see in the diagram, our cycle begins with raw materials. These are processed and manufactured. Those produce consumption products and waste. After the consumption products are used, those also produce waste. So we have two forms of waste: industrial waste and municipal waste. Now there are a variety of ways in which this waste is processed. Firstly, we have reusing and recycling. This creates a cyclical process where we have production and consumption in a hopefully closed loop cycle. We also have food waste, which can be composted and used as fertilizer for further food production or other uses. This also creates a cycle. Then we have hazardous waste, which must be processed in a separate process. This is a necessary function for human health. The problem that humans have arrived at is the remaining waste, which is simply buried or burned. This, as seen in the diagram, the advantages of recycling include the dramatic reduction of air and water pollution, the preservation of energy, the reduction of our dependency on fossil fuels, natural gas, and other non-renewable resources, the reduction of solid waste production and thus disposal. Now, of course, there are also disadvantages.
I have begun.
Now, in order to examine a real-world impact of hazardous pollution, of air pollution, of recycling, and the effects of waste management, we will now turn to a current event story in India. So, a recent study by the University of Chicago, Yale University, and Harvard University indicated that half of India's population currently lives in a place that is so polluted by air pollution that each person loses an average of 3.5 years off their life expectancy. Now, 660 million people can be expected to be affected, with 2.1 billion years lost off of the aggregate life expectancy of the country. Now, Michael Green, this fuel to charge one of the largest and fastest growing economies in the world. However, the environmental degradation, the natural capital eradication, the health issues, the air pollution, the water pollution, everything that will inevitably come of increased coal usage, of further pollution, and of the Indian imports of garbage from the United States to, again, fund the costs of their government. They intend to burn the garbage, they intend to bury it, and further pollute the natural resources of the Indian subcontinent. As such, it is clear that Michael Greenstone of the University of Chicago indicated that this pollution problem retards economic growth by causing premature death. The WHO suggests that 13 out of the 20 most polluted cities in the world are in India. However, this is a clear demonstration of that juxtaposition between economic growth and environmental preservation. As the Indian government, which is managing an industrializing, still poor country, the Indian government has indicated that they will be increasing coal usage. They will be doubling their usage of coal over the next 5 years to spur growth. They must use this. It is clear that this conflicting, dichotomous struggle between economic development and environmental preservation is a problem which looms large over the world's industrializing economies and its post-industrial economies.